So Facebook has announced earlier in the week that they're going to test a new service where they're actually kind of sell discounted deals. And this is a trend that's really taken off, especially we've seen it with Groupon. Why is this such a trend right now?
Everybody wants in on a bargain. Everybody wants to know they're part of a deal. And plus, it's the recession, right? People have money that they need to keep in their wallets. So I think that's what's going on right now. But I mean, there's so many of these sites. I imagine that some of them are going to fall away ultimately, and only the titans will survive.
How much are consumers really saving?
Between I would say 50, 75% most times off the retail price. Sometimes it goes as high as 90%. Sometimes in a very rare occasion you get something for free, but usually it's about, I would say, 50 to 75% each time.
So before we talk about some of your favorite sites, let's start with the mama site Groupon.
Yeah, well, that is one of my favorite sites. But it's the mama site because it covers everything. It has lots of deals every single day. All kinds of things are on sale. There recently was $20 worth of Barnes & Noble merchandise for $10. So you pay $10 and yet you get $20 worth of stuff. It seems to defy logic. Right. But these businesses want to get in on this because Barnes & Noble is well known, but a lot of the businesses maybe are trying to get a leg up, get more well known, get more repeat customers, and so they're willing to take a little bit of a loss by giving the discount. I think there's a queue of about 40,000 people, vendors, who want to be a part of Groupon but can't because there's just not enough. That you'd be flooding people's inboxes with deals. They have to space them out, which is why Groupon introduced the personalized deals last summer. It kind of detects the kinds of things you're interested in, and then you start getting targeted pitches that way so that your inbox isn't totally flooded with all the options.
Are there any downsides to that site?
Well, sometimes you have a minimum purchase. Let's say you're going to a restaurant, you'll have to buy an entree, you'll have to maybe sometimes spend so much to get it. I think a downside also is in how people use it. I think sometimes people say, oh, that's a great deal, I would never get it for that cheap, and they buy it. But my argument is you only should buy things that you know you need. Right. And getting this email in your box and that excitement, that flurry, would make you believe that you need it when 2 hours ago you didn't even know about it.
It's a great shopping tool as well. I mean, just as you browse around in other stores.
Yeah. And you can give them as gifts in most cases. Not always. Sometimes you can buy two. And yesterday there was one in New York City for this great British grocery store that you could buy two for. And again, it was $10 for $20 worth of merchandise. Sometimes it's high fashion, But anyway, this is Groupon, but Living Social, which is another one I mentioned, is a lot like that. It has a wide range of deals. It also does vacation packages. But I warn people to price out the vacation packages independently, find out what the airfare would have cost, find out what the hotel would have cost, because they're not always the best deal on the vacation packages. But the merchandise, you can't do better.
For the foodies out there, there's somewhere to go.
Sure. There's one I didn't mention on the show today. It's called Scout Mob. That's a worthwhile one. But I also like Blackboard Eats because it's curated, for lack of a better word, by some people who really know food. So you're going to be going to some of the best restaurants in town. Well, the way it works is you pay $1. You get a code. The code you take to the restaurant, you get 30% off generally off of a meal. Sometimes you have to buy an entree. Sometimes there are other but these are places that are top end, that are places that you would almost never see give out a coupon. So it's a great opportunity to try food from chefs who are in the papers.
$1 for 30 to 40% off a meal?
That's right. You pay $1 for a coupon, essentially. And if you want to have as many coupons as you want all year long, you just pay $20. That's it. You get all the codes you want. And I'm sure you'll get fat.
For the young and the trendy, there's something out there for them as well.
Yeah, well, young and trendy, and then young and trendy and wealthy. The young and trendy, it's like a health and beauty site. It's called Life Booker Loot. I have to say it slowly because it's so wacky. But it's from a site called Life Booker, and it's the loot section, which is why. And this is health and beauty. This is facials. It's get your hair done, that kind of thing. Get a makeover. Again, 35, 60% off in almost every case. And the second one for those with money is Gilt City, which is GILT. And in this case, it's very high-end stuff. We're talking, in fact, I don't think it even calls itself a group discount site. It calls itself like a luxury experiential site or something ridiculous like that. But you get really wacky stuff. You can get like reservations to restaurants that you just can't get otherwise. I think Danny Meyer's restaurant downtown, you can't get a reservation to save your life, but you got, I think, a $200 meal for $50. And it sold out like that because there's no minimum purchase. Sometimes these sites, 50 people, 60 people have to buy it before everyone can get it. But in this case, it just went out of the gate.
Since there are so many of these sites and it is such a trend right now, how can people make sure that they're on a legitimate site?
I would say you ask your friends what they have purchased. The thing about these sites is they're social. People buy something and they're encouraged to tell all their friends about it for $5 or $10 off their next purchase. And I think if you're going to hear from a friend that they've gotten something, they've gotten the discount out of it, but you know that they've followed through. So that's sort of a beauty about these sites, is they're sort of pre-tested if you're invited by a friend.
You had mentioned purchasing an entire travel or vacation experience might not be the way to go. Is there anything else that we should really stay away from in terms of buying things on these sites?
Well, some of the vacation sites, by the way, there's one called Trip Alerts, which is alerts with a Z. That's a little bit more of a deal. I think in most cases I found in my look at this site, you can actually save money on these things. There's sometimes these aren't transferable. You have to use them yourself. Sometimes they expire very soon, like within a month. Nothing that you shouldn't buy, I wouldn't necessarily think. I wouldn't just say, oh, this guy's offering a Botox, which is something that Gilt City offers. A doctor giving Botox, but I'm not going to say that the people on these sites aren't reputable, but I think you should always do your research and say, okay, this is the doctor they're going to send me to, because they'll tell you, and you can do your own research. So I would say you could exercise the same caution that you would exercise if you had found it yourself.
Bryce, any questions from our chat room for Jason?
No questions. They just are embracing every aspect of all these deal sites. They love them all. So
what's the hate?
It's really, $1 for 30% off at a great restaurant in New York City.
Yeah, and some of these sites are, in a couple cities. Some of them are across the country. Each one has different. And Facebook even isn't. And we talked about its deals coming soon. It's not going to be all over the country yet. It's starting, I think, in Atlanta and Austin and San Diego, maybe 5 cities to start with. So these things start to grow. You'll see more and more of these as we go on, and I think you'll see some of them consolidate as well.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back to talk about more of these sites. Jason, thanks. So good seeing you. We love having you here.
I love coming.
We'll find you on Twitter after the show.
Find me on Twitter and my website, jasoncochran.com.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Bye, Jason. Bye.